Welcome back. After a extremely long hiatus.
Some would say a semi-retirement.
Yeah. So long story short, we're not going to bore you with details, but basically we lost our producer. He had to move to Georgia, and the two of us have been very busy, so we didn't have time to edit it ourselves.
Yeah.
So the episodes will be very sporadic, but we hope to start recording them again, and we have a new potential producer we might bring on board. So hopefully we'll get you more content soon. Anyway, so welcome back. Today is our 2019 retrospective. We're just going to go through some of the big games in 2019, give our thoughts, and then we'll move on to our top 3 worst games of 2019 and our top 3 best games of 2019.
And since Ben's not here, we will only have 3 games, as opposed to 30.
That's not true. My list got insane with honorable and dishonorable mentions. But yeah, let's just jump right into it.
All right.
Oh wait! Before I do that, check out Imperial Spells and Steam, my new game.
Oh yeah, you did do that, right?
Yeah. Finally delivered. And so far our response has been great. So please check it out.
But you know what? I know we have to jump into this pretty well, but people like us for story times. So there is a question that might have been going in the board game community, especially of those who attended BGG-Con. Trey, why was your board game on the bag and not there?
Wow. How much of the story can I tell? So basically, the project was delayed for years. I mean, you know how Kickstarters go. If you backed more than 2 Kickstarters, chances are you've had one that was delayed. And ours was delayed like crazy amounts for various reasons, and so we thought the game would be at BGG-Con for us to sell, and it was not. So everybody at BGG-Con got an Imperial bag and no Imperial to take home with them. But we had some copies in the library, so some people did try it out, and we got some good feedback. But reviews have been very good so far. So.
Yeah. So, just to get a small side story of Imperial, but it is mostly shipped now, correctly?
Yeah, it's pretty much fulfilled, and there's only one way to get it, and that is to go onto the Level 99 Level 99 Games website and order it from their store.
Yeah, mainly because this is probably one of the biggest boxes that'll be released this year. It's equivalent to the size of the Suburbia Collector's Edition. So
yeah,
I just wanted to get a couple shameless plugs in there on behalf of Trey because
Thank you.
I don't want him to do himself. It's a collaborative thing. All right, so
Appreciate
let's go.
that.
Let's start with. You want to start with the worst, the best, the honorable mentions.
Let's start with the gray area games that didn't end up on either of our lists, and there's a long list. We're just gonna go through them real fast.
Okay.
Escape Tales: The Awakening. Did you play that?
No, I did not.
It's like a 6-hour one-shot escape room type game. It was pretty good.
Now, is it from the people who did Exit or Escape the Room, or is it just like a new publisher?
I think it's a different designer, different publisher. But if you like those escape room games, and if you do or not, I think you'll like this one. It has a fascinating action selection kind of thing, where like as a group you decide where in the room you're going to explore, and you have a limited number of action tokens, and once you're out of tokens, you can't explore that room anymore. So I think it has a lot more strategy. So it's puzzle solving mixed with some strategy, and I rather enjoyed it.
Okay.
Res Arcana, I know you've played
once. So, 2019 was an interesting year for me. It had a lot of games that were released, a lot of games I played once, and a lot of games I didn't have interest in playing again.
Yeah.
And Res Arcana sort of fell in that area for me. Actually, it's sort of blurred down. You might be able to describe it better than me, but...
Yeah, this is I think a good time to just talk about the year in general, because I think Charles just hit on like my overall feelings of the year, and it sounds like his. This was like a year of like not a lot of lows, but not a lot of highs either. For me, it was like a 7 year, like 7 across the board. Like I didn't have many games below 7. I didn't have many games above 7, and the ones that did go above 7 only went to like 8. And the ones that went below 7 only went to like 6, 5, a few 4s, and like 1 or 2 3s, like my worst of games. But like the overall quality in board games, I think, has gone up. Like every year has just been going up and up and up. Publishers are getting better at not publishing terrible games, but they're still publishing, meh games.
I won't say they're meh. They would be good games. It's just this hobby was sort of built on exemplary game after exemplary game because they were so hard to get out.
Yeah.
And now they're not, right? So you can get a ton of average games, which is,
yeah,
it's sort of good. But to give an NFL analogy, the XFL is back, the AF was here, but you want the NFL quality teams. You want to watch the Super Bowl. You don't want to watch. Well, in this case, he will watch the College Football National Championship because LSU won. But you don't want to watch anything in between. It's either college or pros. You don't want to watch the in-between stuff. And this was a year in between board game releases. I mean, 2020 we might see a lot of these games expand. They might be a little bit better. Some of them might be overall good.
I'm excited for 2020. I think there's some really good and interesting things on the pipeline. So it would be hard for this year to be worse as far as great games. Mm-hmm. So I think 2020 will be a better year. So I'm hopefully optimistic. But to me, 2019 was just not a meh year, but above average.
Yeah. Average. It's a C.
Yeah.
Maybe
a C plus. Yeah, a C plus. All right. Rise of Queensdale. Is this on your worst or best list?
Rise of Queensdale is, well, if I was grading for a curve, it would actually end up being a top of the class legacy game.
Yeah.
Correct. Because, but the curve.
A lot of them are bad.
Yeah, a lot of legacy games are bad. This is the Trey and I played this game.
Played the whole thing.
We played the entire legacy campaign, which
also an exception for legacy games.
Very, very, very true. I will say this about the game: it was fun in all of its plays. The scoring made it so you could not come back usually.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very hard to catch the leader, mainly because the leader's pointing. They needed to score 10 more points, but then every action they took was worth 1 more point in general. So the catch-up mechanic could be better, but the game itself was fine. The story was fine.
Yeah. I think the problem was just that everyone was winning every game. And so it was hard for any of us to really come back if you were behind in campaign points or game wins, because you would win the game, but so would the person in the lead. So you both won essentially, but you didn't gain any ground because they also won the game.
Yeah, but the game itself was solid enough to play it the number of times required to do the legacy. And I actually would not. I would play it again if it appeared in a different non-legacy format.
I think to me it was very similar to the Seafall curve, except much the peaks and the lows. To me, the beginning of the campaign wasn't as good as the beginning of the Seafall campaign, but the end of the campaign was much better than the end of the Seafall campaign. Seafall just fell apart 100%, whereas this game, it just kind of, the mechanics were still working, but every game we played only took 2 rounds. So everyone would win because we all have these awesome dice and we're all scoring tons of points, and so every game just took 2 rounds and then everybody won. So it just, the end game was just kind of weird in that way. So, but overall, I would say it was a good experience. I would give it a 7.5.
Yeah. And I would actually recommend people who are interested in legacy games to buy it because of the legacy games that are, I want to call them pandemic linked. It is probably the second best game after the pandemic, right?
And it's one of only 2 Euro legacy games, which are that and Charterstone. I was the only one who liked Charterstone. I still like Charterstone. We'll probably never finish it though because the rest of the players didn't like it.
It also has a massive runaway leader problem, but hey, that's a steak knife thing. But let me go there. Go ahead.
All right. I'll just talk about Sanctum real quick. I demoed this, a very different version of it. It's like Diablo, the board game, and to me, it got the inventory management and the items really well, but the combat is just kind of meh. It's just dice rolling. So I'd like to play the final version. I'm not writing it off yet, but definitely check it out if you like Diablo. I enjoyed it, even though I didn't think it was awesome. Mm-hmm. Space Base, have you played this?
I did play Space Base. I think it was a 2018 release, but it was mostly available in 2019. Maybe I shouldn't remake Machikoro.
I hate Machikoro, but I thought this game was much better. I actually own and like Space Base, but but so you did like it more than Machikoro.
I mean, yeah, it has all the same problems of Machikoro. It's fine. I know it's going to have a lot more expansions. it's fun. A lot of people like it. It's one of those things. It was another one of those games. Okay, this is very solidly implemented. I understand, but Machikoro. Part of the reason people bought it was because nothing had really been out that was like it, and that this game definitely has. It's more difficult, more complex than Machikoro, but at the same time, it's not that much more difficult and complex than Machikoro. That's
Yeah.
so.
I think if you like Machikoro at all, give it a try. Even if you don't, because I hate Machikoro, give it a try. If you like rolling dice, give it a try.
Yeah.
I think that's the overall thing there. Detective City of Angels, you haven't played this, right?
No, I have not.
So I got my Kickstarter in. I'm at odds with most people on this. To me, I think the normal way to play the game, which is like one versus many, is terrible, and I will never do it again. I haven't tried the pure co-op mode yet, but I have friends that play it that way exclusively, and they say it's much better. I'm willing to try it. I own the game, I just haven't brought it back out because the first experience was not good.
I've actually seen this play quite a bit at the local meetup group that we go to,
okay.
and yeah, they do seem to be having a lot of fun with a different, diverse group. I would say it is not quite as loved as any of the Sherlock Holmes. I think Sherlock Holmes is a lot more meatier to get into, but this one, it has gone. Most people have finished the campaign. I think I watched 2 different campaigns. What is it, like 6?
Wow, they have been playing it a lot then.
It's like 6 cases, right?
Yeah. I love the aesthetic of the game, which is why I'm going to give it another chance. But like, I feel the one versus many has way too much downtime, so I'm going to try it again, but as a pure co-op only.
All right.
Black Angel, you played that?
Nope, lightning round for you.
Black Angel's game. It's I mean, I don't like TWA, but I think it's better than TWA. It's basically like TWA Redux in space, because everything has to be fantasy or in space. Well, I guess TWA wasn't fantasy; it was like medieval, but you get the point. We have 2 themes in board games. We have space and we have fantasy, medieval. And they already did that, so they brought it into space. It's much the same mechanics. I thought it was better, but not like way better.
You forgot about steampunk. Yeah.
And,
and Mars is definitely its own subcategory. Anyways, Curios, go ahead.
Curios, you have played that here. That's the game with the gems, and you have the cards. You have 4 cards, and they determine the score of the gems. It's just like a little filler game.
Okay. Don't remember it all. Little filler game.
Little filler game. It's not really worth remembering.
I remember Point Salad.
Point Salad. I like Point Salad.
Point Salad is a very solid filler game.
If you have 10 minutes and you don't want to play Skull for the millionth time, Point Salad.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing with Point Salad is it actually does. I mean, I swore it was designed by Stefan Feld, and it's not, but it should be, right?
It's a cute theme and a cute game.
If you like Feld, give this thing a try. It's like everything he's been trying to do distilled into a filler.
Detective Club?
Didn't play it.
It's like what's that game? Dixit, but with worse scoring but better mechanics. So if you like Dixit and you want to mix things up, give it a try. Trismegistus, have you played
The
this?
Ultimate Formula. I have tried to learn this game because, that's what I did at BGG Con. Spent an hour and a half trying to learn this game. This game needs to be taught by somebody who has played it before, really understands the rules. The one thing I will say about it, since I never got a full explanation, is that the iconography of this game is frustratingly frustrating. And the fact that the player aid was wrong didn't help.
Yeah. I will give you a one-word review, and much like Real Alchemy was, it is convoluted. The game is just convoluted. It's like rules for the sake of rules, much like another game we'll talk about later.
Theme of the year, theme of 2019. Rules for the sake of rules.
It wasn't terrible though, which is not why it's not on my worst list. Cooper Island.
I keep being in the other game when this is played here.
Yeah, so. It's just it's a Euro game. It's a solid 7, just another soulless Euro. If you like Euros, give it a shot.
Piracy theme, right?
Yeah.
We got themes in board games.
There's an island, there's ships. I don't know if pirates are actually involved or not, but whatever. It's one of those kind of games.
Right.
Maracaibo.
Nope, go for it.
Great Western Trail sequel, right? Because another way, the board game industry is becoming more like Hollywood. Everything is a sequel or a reprint. And this is a sequel to Great Western Trail. It's not like a direct sequel. It's a very different theme, but same designer. Same basic idea. You're going around in Rondell and you're visiting places and using powers and using cards, etc., etc. You probably already have a general idea of where this is going. I like Great Western Trail better, but a lot of people disagree and like this one better. I think they're both really good games. I still own Great Western Trail. I think it's a good game. I think Maracaibo is a good game. I think my main problem with it is like money's too tight. Like you have all these wonderful cards, but like a lot of them cost like $20 to play, and you have $22. So if you play that one card, and then you can't play any of your other cards in your hand.
Will you at least build up income if you pay like the big $20?
I mean, yeah, they do all kinds of cool stuff, but like I just felt like money was a little too tight for my taste, and I love games with tight money, but like this was just like I have all these wonderful cards that I can't play because I have no money. On Tour is I'm guessing you didn't play this. It's like a
lightning round.
Yeah. It's a roll and write. Basically, what I liked about it, because I don't like roll and writes, but in this one, it's a roll and write to connect 2 points on a map kind of thing across a board, and so I like the logistical puzzle without having to add a bunch of points. So yeah, it's very different from most roll and writes, and for that I liked it. Alubari is Snowdonia Redux, so like it's a sequel to Snowdonia. They streamlined the crap out of it, and it's good. It's not great. It's good. Azul Summer Pavilion.
I played this game.
If you played Azul, you've played this game.
If you played, I mean, so the funny part about Azul is like people who really liked the first game and didn't like the second game really like the third game, while people who like the second game are like, well, I don't need the first or the third. I have the second game. I will admit this about Summer Pavilion. It has more a different type of scoring, but at this point it's like the Uwe Rosenberg trilogy of polynomial games. It's just like, all right, well, pick the ones you like, and
they're all the same but slightly different. You don't need to own all 3 Uwe Rosenberg polynomial games, and you don't need to own all 3 Azuls. Pick your favorite. They're all good. Yeah. Like I'm not hating on Azul. I like Azul, but like
in our gaming group, I own the second one. A new person got the third one. A couple people own the first one, and we're good.
Yeah. I keep thinking I'm going to buy the first, because the first will sometimes be as cheap as $20 on Amazon Prime. So next time it drops to $20, I might get it.
See, with me, I don't think there's any, with the variability of the second and the third, I don't think there's any reason really to get the first anymore. But hey,
well, a lot of people love the first.
I mean,
yeah. Aristocracy. I know you played this. We played it together.
Played on, and
we broke some major rule, but I
played it again since then. I played it again since then.
You still like it?
Yeah,
I like it too.
This is a good, simple game.
It's an overproduced filler.
I mean, yeah, it is. It's not a filler. It's a mid-length game. So it's like 30 minutes to 30 to 40 minutes. It could be even shorter. It could be like 25 to 40. You basically flip over tiles and you pick up a bunch. The good part about this game is it is a excellent introduction to board game. Like if you have someone you're trying to bring over from Monopoly or Catan, this is one of those games that you would just put on the table, and you'll like playing it, they'll like playing it, you'll be fine. And the rules, easy to teach, easy to break down, easy to set up. So
I liked it a lot. On the Underground, it's a reprint. It's basically a logic puzzle. My problem with this was the beginning of the game is fascinating and good. The end of the game, it's so hard to calculate how many points you're getting from the passengers that it kind of sucked the fun out. So
needs an app, man.
Yeah, this is a game that would be great on an app, not so great on a board game. Hashtag Artbox is a party game. It's like another variant of Pictionary, and I liked it a lot, but not great enough to make my top 3. Runestones, you played this probably.
Yep, I actually bought this game. I actually really like it. It's a deck deconstruction game.
Yeah.
I mean, you sort of build something, you play 2 cards, one of them goes back into the general's flop, so out of your hand and control.
I didn't have any major problems with it, but I feel like it definitely needs expansions to get replayability.
And amazingly, it has 3 on the way.
Well, there you go.
So basically, the first Kickstarter had an expansion that I did not get, and it had a side set to variate the runestones, and then they just finished.
You back to Kickstarter and didn't go all in?
I didn't even know it was a Kickstarter.
Oh.
So I missed the first Kickstarter. Every now and then I just can't look at Kickstarter for a month or so.
Fair.
So, but the second Kickstarter that you get everything again is by Rutger Dorn. It's a clean game, so it comes in a big box with lots of air inside. So I have no fear that it'll be able to fit the expansion, unlike Root expansion, which we should talk about real quick, Trey.
Oh.
How do you feel about the Root expansion box situation?
I mean, I just got the Root expansion, and I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I love Root, but they did not give you a box solution. So if you get Imperial, Imperial comes in this huge cube. If those of you watching on YouTube, Charles is going to show you right now. it is a. This is the root solution to. This is the base game root box with all expansions in it, and as you can see, it does not even close. I'm not talking about box rise. Literally, the box does not close. But if you compare it with Imperial, this is the base game box of Imperial. It will hold all future expansions. So it's just two different philosophies. I don't know, like, I don't understand why they didn't give you a box upgrade option. I would have gladly paid $10 for just a big box to put all of my root in. Instead, I have this monstrosity, and I refuse to put games in multiple boxes. It's just my philosophy on things. So, like, I'm left with this.
Yeah, take the lid off. It's just like take the lid off Imperial.
It's just
stuff is in it. Just a massive amount of stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to tell him to put it in 2 boxes.
It's not gonna happen.
Please leave comments.
It's just gonna be this eyesore on my shelf.
Encourage him to do that, and I will. Imperial needs his own seat.
All right, medium. Do you like medium?
Didn't play medium.
Oh, okay. You flip 2 cards up, and then both people try to say the same word at the same time. It's fascinating. It's a good party game. Bring it to your next family island. Outing. The Forgotten Island.
Didn't play. You can go.
I don't even. I have forgotten this game. It's called The Forgotten Island, and I literally could tell you nothing about it. It was apparently not exceptional. Signore.
Just dump stuff, man. Just dump stuff. Hurry up.
Signore is good. It's a Euro game. Crystal Palace is good. It's a Euro game.
It was also a good video game in the 80s. Continue.
Keyflow, play 7 Wonders instead.
Yes.
Oh, so you play Keyflow, and you agree with me?
I'm not a big fan of the Key series anymore.
Yeah,
so.
It's just play 7 Wonders. There's another game that you should just play 7 Wonders for on this list as well. Illusion, really good filler game. You basically you flip up cards on a table and you try to decide what percentage a color has. It's kind of like Timeline, but with colors. So if you play Timeline, you're putting a date where it belongs on a timeline. Here, you're putting a color card based on the amount of color it has in a line based on a certain color. So if like the color's green, you need to put it between cards that have more green and cards that have less green than that. So it's a really good filler. Try it out. Atlantis Rising is a co-op game. Yeah. It's technically a reprint.
It's a Dr. Finn game, right? Or no?
Oh no. It's
different Atlantis.
It's a second printing of a co-op game, co-op worker placement game. It's a beautiful production by Elf Creek Games. Definitely check it out if you like co-ops. And I'm potentially working with that company on a new game, so more on that later. Isle of Cats. Have you not played this yet?
No, I avoid Isle of Cats with a passion.
Why?
Because our mascot is Tuxedo, and he's a dog. And I don't want to end up chasing that board game all over the place.
All right. Isle of Cats is really easy to explain. Imagine a polyomino game, but with drafting. So you're drafting 7 Wonders style, and the cards you draft give you polyominoals, or they let you buy things, or they give you special powers, or they give you goals to score. It's very good. I like it a lot. Mm-hmm. Aquatica is a good deck. What's the mechanic where like you have a hand of action cards and you play them until you play your reset card?
Oh, I would say. I mean,
it's action selection basically, with a reset card in there. So like you take a bunch of actions, you want to avoid resetting as long as you can, but eventually you have to reset to get your action cards back.
It's a Concordia mechanic, basically.
Yeah. It's very good. I probably like it more than Concordia, but not by much.
But Concordia Venus, man. Once you add Venus into Salsa, Concordia is a much better game. So.
Okay. I played Salsa, which I liked. It was a very good expansion. I haven't played the team variant yet, though. Fast Loss is a racing game. It was pleasant when I played it, but yeah, no need to play it again. Pictures is a really cool game. It's a party game where there's like 5 different ways you create what you're drawing. But none of them are actually drawing. One is you take a piece of yarn and you draw it. One is you take a bunch of objects and you make it into a thing. One is you take a bunch of cubes and you make it into a pixelated picture. And you're trying to get everyone to guess what you're drawing. But everyone has something they're doing on their turn. So you're not like waiting for one person to draw. Everybody's creating their thing at the same time. So it's like Pictionary, except we use different mediums and it gets rid of the downtime. So really good party game. Check it out. The Bus reprint. This is a Splotter game. Bus is a very like tight game. It's definitely all Splotter games are tight, but it's also definitely their shortest and simplest game. I can explain Bus in like 10 minutes, and it'll be over in 90. So Bus, I would say, is a really good
90-minute Splotter game. Sure.
Yeah. Namiji is the sequel to Tokaido. It's basically the same game as Tokaido. They made it slightly more complicated. for the better, I think. Because my problem with Takedo is like I like that mechanic of like whoever's in the back is now going. But I found Takedo to be a little too simple. This added some interesting little things to it, so I think it's better.
This also might be our Kickstarter presentation game of the year because their Kickstarter was beautiful. I did not get a chance to play it, but
it is a gorgeous game. All their games are gorgeous. Yeah. Paradise Lost. Have you played this yet?
I did not.
Elisa got her Kickstarter in. Paradise Lost is Clue mixed with Takedo. We were just speaking about Takedo. It's literally the Takedo mechanic. Like, so there's a Euro game going on where the last person's next and they have to like go and get resources and stuff. So why do we add a Euro game onto Clue? You let me know. I don't know.
Let's save that last one.
Okay.
All right.
It's gonna be on one of your lists. Okay.
Yeah.
Paradise Lost was not a bad game, but I wouldn't say it's a good game.
All right. So now we've hit the moment of truth. Trey will open up his phone for me so I can get my list, and we will start with. What do you want to go with? The worst or
let's
the
do
best
worst.
game?
Let's
start with the
worst
game.
Let's start hopeful.
All right, we'll start hopeful. And do you want to go with honorable mentions, or do you just want to go? Let's just go into our numbered list because we've been doing a lot of small games. All right, so my number 3 is all the Puerto Rico expansions that were released this year. Did you know there were Puerto Rico expansions this year? Exactly my point.
I had no idea. They were all bad, apparently?
So, there were a total of 4 Puerto Rico expansions released this year. 2 of them were reprints of the original 2. The original expansion 1 and the original expansion 2. Expansion 1 is great for Puerto Rico. It's the one that came out many, many years ago. Probably should have been included in the base game. Expansion 2 is terrible still. It's the Nobles expansion.
The red workers, yeah.
Basically, it breaks the rules of the game by eliminating the victory condition where running out of colonists is a way to end the game, and gives you all these special colonist nobles, which are worth 1 VP apiece. So every round, someone picks mayor because it's worth more victory points than everything else, and it gives you access to a special set of buildings, which are on the side of the game. Terrible expansion, totally breaks the game. Continue with that, 2 new expansions came out in 2019 as well. The first is the Buccaneer expansion, which is like Prospector on steroids. It only works for you. No one can draft on it. It lets you do things like remove all the goods from the ship and keep 3. Remove all the goods from the trading house and score a victory point for them.
That sounds broken as heck.
It is super broken.
Having never played this expansion, it sounds broken as heck.
Yes. Capture a roll so you can just go. This is a normal roll that lets you steal another roll off the board, taking all the doubloons on that roll, and then if another opponent wants to use that roll, the bank pays you $3. What? I know what you're saying. What? What is this? Why is all this?
We need Lil Jon to come.
Why is there notes? Why is all this take that in Puerto Rico? So that's the expansion that you can actually get off the BGG store in one of their spiel boxes. The other expansion you can't even get anywhere. It is the festival expansion. It's apparently mentioned on, and I kid you not, BGG and the official state website for Puerto Rico.
What is this? You haven't played it then?
No, there's only one picture of it on BGG because no one has it. But basically, what it does is it lets you, it sets goals for you to get different things, and then you get those rewards for getting those goals, like colonists or trade goods or buildings. But we don't know exactly what those goals are because there are no pictures of this expansion, and the only place you could get it was at this small festival in Spain. Anyways, all the Puerto Rico expansions, which is this is the formerly #1 board game on Board Game Geek, are terrible. So,
all right,
that is my number 3.
All right, I'm gonna do my number 3, but I never want to talk about these games again, so I'm gonna lightning round my dishonorable mentions. Rurik Dawn of Kiev, good game, too tight. You make one mistake, you're out of the game, and then you're just sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Silver and Gold, roll and write, it's boring. Paladins of the West Kingdom. also super boring. I don't like that series at all. I think the whole series is boring, but lots of people love it. So if you love it, good for you. I just cannot with that game. Villagers is a sprawling mess and also boring. It's a Wonderful World. Play Seven Wonders instead. Adventure Games The Dungeon is like escape room book, but like choose your own adventure, and like there's nothing to guide you to the right decision. So like you just randomly make a decision, and sometimes it kills you.
Yay!
It's so much fun.
Sometimes the rule, sometimes the key is on the back of the box. Like
yeah, Betrayal Legacy is still bad. We abandoned our campaign. We were almost to the end and we still abandoned it, much like Seafall. All right, my actual third worst game though is Century: A New World.
Hold on, Trey. Would this be another game from a publisher that you've repeatedly told over and over again to make colorblind friendly?
Okay.
That they just said, no, Trey, we're not going to do that for you.
Charles is correct. This is another in the series, the Century series, where the whole problem with the series is it's the least colorblind friendly thing of all time. It has brown, red, and green cubes, and for like the 8% of males that are colorblind to red and green, the game is unplayable.
Which is something about 15% of gamers.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
Yeah. So it's so bad. But no, actually, the reason this game is on my list is just like it's even more boring than all the other games I just said were boring. Like Century, A New World is a non-game. You don't make decisions. Everything is just super obvious and everything is super simple. I wouldn't even want to play it as a filler. There's just no interesting decisions there. That's it.
All right.
You're number 2.
You know, I want to do some dishonorable mentions. One is Terramara.
I haven't played it.
This game is long, and it just... The fact that you keep on losing actions as you advance through the game just doesn't really bode well for it. It seems like it was supposed to be a really good, complicated game. It's not. The second thing is, sadly, a game I kickstarted, and it is On Mars.
It made your worst list? I did
does.
not see that coming.
You know, I've played this game 5 times now, and I have discovered the only real strategy is to not leave the planet. And for a game where you're supposed to go between the planet and orbit, to actually have a legitimate, really good strategy that will probably win you a game of never leaving the planet is pretty bad. And it just seems like people do the same actions all the time on the planet. And that's it. And they score points and they rush to the end of the game. Even if they don't rush to the end of the game end just sort of shows up. And they never had to leave the planet and they score more points because they didn't. Or they just built a whole bunch of rocket ships. Which is the other backup to the strategy. I'm going to stay down on the planet, build water, build habitats, build rocket ships, and that's it. I'm never going to leave my first place of the game. Just bad, man. It's just that added to the fact that the game takes about 15 minutes to set up, 15 minutes to put away, and 30 minutes to explain is just too easy a strategy to have.
I'm going to disagree with you. I've seen this game explained 3 times. I was part of one of it. They all took at least an hour. So this game is Lacerda at his worst, I feel. Like, I like Lacerda. I own some Lacerda games, and I have never played a Lacerda game I did not like. So I will say that I liked my play of On Mars, and I will also say I never want to play it again. Especially with people who have never played before. I'm not going to sit there and just let someone teach this game for an hour while I play on my phone. It's just rules for the sake of rules. He could have cut like 1 or 2 major mechanics out and the game would be so much better.
Yeah. The initial player aid is bad. I printed an 11-page player aid for this game.
Yeah.
And that helped, right?
I mean, you needed it. You needed it.
It's stupid.
It's just, the game is insane.
Yeah, you need the reference book and you need the actions.
It's like
and
the publisher just let him like run wild, and he gave into all of his like worst, preferences. He likes to make sprawling games, and the publisher was like, make it as sprawling as you want, and he's like, okay, and he did it. He accomplished that.
Sometimes you need an editor. And I think that's where Lacerda
But we seem to be in the minority. Like, it has like an 8.5 on Board Game Geek, and it's going to be in the top 100 very soon. I don't understand. I love heavy games. To me, this is just a sprawling mess, and I don't know.
Lacerda is a good example of the cult of Kickstarter. He gives you so much exclusive stuff that people think they're supposed to like it.
Yeah.
And then they don't play it a few times, but they give it a really high rating. But once you really get into it, it's not...
Does anyone play Lacerda games a lot, though. Like, I feel like all of his games are hard to teach and have so much sprawl and setup and breakdown time that, like, they just don't get to the table often, even if they're good games. Like, I have Vinhos, I love Vinhos, but, like, I never bring it out because it takes forever to set up, it takes forever to explain.
Yeah, I mean, most people, if you get 10 games played of the Lacerda game, you consider it accomplished.
No.
And I don't think that's a great way to do things, especially at the games like mediocre. And my final dishonorable mention is, it is 2020. It is time to sort of just kill the Cthulhu, H.P. Lovecraft genre of games. I mean,
there's a lot.
Yeah, there are, but H.P. Lovecraft was a racist. He's also an anti-Semite. One of his quotes is, "He may be a buffoon, but by God, I like that boy." And that was referring to Adolf Hitler and his actions. I mean,
that didn't age well.
Yeah, it's not a good guy, man. So he also, based most of his monsters upon characterizations of African Americans and American, calling them the subraces, and Africans in general. So everything Cthulhu out. Dishonorable mention. So moving on.
I didn't know any of that. So
no one does.
Right.
My number 2 game is actually a game called Fickle.
I haven't played it.
You haven't played it. So I will say this about Fickle: it is well produced. It's by a first-time game designer, and that's okay too. They had a good presence at BGG. I think they were even at Gen Con as well. But basically, this is a press your luck tableau builder, and you have these decks, and the Kickstarter came with 22 decks. You play with 5 each round, and almost all these decks have some sort of take that type of mechanic, and it has interesting mechanisms. It has interesting scoring, because if you get 1 of a card, you score the points on it. If you get 2 of the same color card, you score nothing. If you get 3 or 4 of a suit of cards, you get negative the highest number card in it. If you get all 5 of the cards, you score 15 points, or whatever the total is of that card. But this game has so many take that mechanisms that you'll just be attacking each other all day. And it's called Fickle because some things just don't work. Like, you're trying to do a carefully cultivated row. Someone can just eliminate a card from your tableau, or someone can steal a card from you, or someone can just give you one of their garbage cards that causes you to lose points. This is the entirety of the game. Add to the fact that it has the Biblios mechanic, that someone gives you 3 cards. They draw 3 cards, they look at them, they stack them up in an order, and then you have to press your luck to see if they gave you something good on the bottom, or maybe the best card was on the top. It is very fickle. I mean, that was sort of the design of the game. There are 26,000 combinations according to the Kickstarter, but they only recommend you play with 6. So if you start experimenting, you will end up with some disastrous things happen to you. It's not a bad game per se, but the game's supposed to have combinations, but unless you stay on a prescribed route, you're going to find yourself really not having fun. Because some of the combinations are really bad. That's my number 2. Your number 2?
My number 2 is a Sacred Cow.
Sacred Cow.
It is Blood on the Clocktower. A lot of people love this game. I would rather die than play it again. Just play Werewolf. Like, this game was designed to fix werewolf problems because they get rid of player elimination. Sure, technically that's true, but you play as someone who has almost no influence for the rest of the game if you get executed.
Yeah, I mean, Werewolf has this if you play with a ghost, and they wanted everyone to have ghost powers. So.
And also the game takes forever. So whereas Werewolf has player elimination, if you have a good moderator who's keeping things moving, you won't be dead for long unless you die the first night, which, we play
30 minutes of your life.
Yeah. I'm not saying Werewolf doesn't have problems. I'm just saying Blood on the Clocktower tries to fix them, but just makes a worse game instead. The nights take forever, because I don't think you're supposed to call people's roles, because you don't know what roles are in the game. And it also has Charles's favorite mechanic, which he will probably enjoy, but my least favorite mechanic in Werewolf variants, where when you die, your role is not revealed. So no one knew what side you were on, and the village doesn't know if they made a good decision. Oh. So they just have to guess and hope they made a good decision.
I don't actually like that mechanic. I like delayed reveal.
Oh, well. This has no reveal. Yeah. You don't find out who anyone is until the end of the game. And oh my god, it was excruciating. It was just like, we're making decisions and we're hoping we're doing well, but we have no idea if we're doing well because we're just killing people left and right. We don't know what roles they're in the game. We don't know what roles they were when we killed them, and it's anyway. Number one.
My number one game. It's easy. I don't even need the list.
Okay. Yeah,
it is Blockbuster Video, the board game, the trivia board game. I think you had it, right, Trey?
Yeah, I still have it.
You still have it.
Or I might have got rid of it. I don't know. It's a nothing game.
It is a nothing game. Okay, here are my main problems with this game. Number one problem, and this is very, very, very big problem to me. This game comes in a nice, clear, clamshell case.
Presentation, A+.
It's presentation A+. However, environmentally speaking, should we not use recycled Blockbuster Video black cases to make this game? Is someone hoarding these cases for some reason? We have so many Blockbusters that have closed that had so many video cases. They are somewhere, or are they all destroyed? They might be all destroyed.
They might all be recycled by now.
But I feel like it could have been done with recycled case content. That said, you have a bad game when it's better for you to just make up your own rules out the box and just use the materials inside.
Which is what we did, and we had a good time.
And you'll have a good time with it. Also, you have a bad game where, you should just start, you don't have enough cards, because you should just start writing down movies of your own, which is also what we did. We had a good time. So, if you have to make this many changes to the game, it's not a good game. So, that's all I'll leave with Blockbuster, the board game, the trivia board game. So.
All right, number one, we're gonna have to speed up the pace because people are already arriving for game day. But my number one worst game is Tapestry. You've probably already read some bad reviews about it, and I'm not gonna really add to that. I'm just gonna say that I enjoyed my play up until the last 30 minutes. In that last 30 minutes, 2 of the 4 players were eliminated. So they literally were they had not eliminated from the game, but they had already finished all their actions. So they're literally just sitting there for 30 minutes. That's probably bad. But I wasn't one of them. I was still having fun. And then the person I was playing against drew a new race. So he doubled his racial powers. And this is a game all about getting to the end of tech trees. The race that he pulled said advance 3 on all the tech trees. So they basically just raced to the end on all the tech trees from one card draw. And that's when I realized this game is not for me.
Hey, it's that Stegmeyer balance I talk about so much. Anyways, I have nothing to say about this game.
You haven't played it yet, have you?
Did I want to? No, I did not.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the best of. Lightning round, honorable mentions. Lockup is a really cool worker placement game with a Dungeons & Dragons setting. Hadara is... That was the Seven Wonders-ish kind of game. Right?
Maybe.
I think so. There's so many weird board game names. I feel like I confuse them sometimes. But Hadara, I'm pretty sure, is a Seven Wonders style game that I liked. Unlike what was the other one? It's a Wonderful World and some other game that I didn't like. There's a lot of these Seven Wonders games going on. Pipeline is a very cool Euro game about making connections and shipping oil and selling oil. Yay for money. Barrage. Very similar to Pipeline, actually, except you're damming up water. Have you played either of those yet?
Nah, you can lightning round through this.
All right, QE is a great auction game. You can literally write down any bid you want, and that's not hyperbole. You can put $8 trillion if you want. It's just really cool and a really interesting take on the auction genre. Game of Thrones Oathbreaker, a really cool take on Resistance, although I was the only one who liked it, so take that with a grain of salt.
Yes, it is Resistance.
You played that? You didn't like it?
I watched y'all play it. So.
Wavelength is a really cool party game where you're trying to guess a range. So similar to Medium.
Actually, it's a game by one of the best designers of the year, probably. 2019 was a very good year for Wolfgang Warsch. He released Quacks Quedlinburg. The Herb Witches expansion. He released this game there.
The Taverns of Typhon something.
Taverns of Typhon, which I'll talk about later. He released Wavelength. He also released a more intense version of The Mind, which was one of his breakout hits. So 2019 is very awesome. He is probably the MVP designer. So we'll talk about it later.
Wavelength is probably my favorite game from him. Although Quacks is okay. As a distraction. Letter Jam is a really, really good party game. It's difficult. It's real difficult, but I don't really like word games for the most part. But this is like co-op
Yeah.
word game, and it's very difficult and
Yeah.
very fun.
Czech Games Edition they made code names, and they are very good at the party games. They make a good one every year. Even That's a Question, and some of the other ones are pretty good, and this is one of the better. So.
Unlike most people, I like political themed games. So there's two on my list. One made my top three. The other one is Campaign Trail, which is like an area control game, kind of similar to Twilight Struggle, where you're playing cards and they have multi-use, and they sometimes add influence, sometimes take away influence. And there's a really cool debate mechanic in there where you're playing cards to advance your debate rating on certain issues, and it's like a push-pull. If you like area control games and you don't mind a political theme, definitely check it out. And my last honorable mention, which was my number one after the first time I played it, but after I played it several times now, it's the same game every time. Still a beautiful game, and that's Era, the Medieval Age. It's basically they took Roll Through the Ages and made it into a plastic game with like really fancy miniatures, and it's basically the same game though as Roll Through the Ages. And it's just a gorgeous production, and I enjoy Roll Through the Ages, so I think it's a good game. But the shine wears off after the first couple of plays. It's the same game every time. But I look forward to hopefully expansions.
All right, number 3 game for you.
All right, my number 3 is Watergate. To me, this is like a Twilight Struggle killer. I love Twilight Struggle, but it is a very long game, and it's a game that rewards multiple plays. So you like as you learn all the events in the deck, you get better at it. Because knowing what those events do and what could possibly happen is just very key to winning that game. Watergate is like that same experience, and yes, you'll get better if you memorize the deck in Watergate, but it's the experience is distilled and so much shorter. I think it's a better game. Well, maybe
like,
not better game, but it's a more accessible game.
Like an hour per player?
Oh, no. Watergate takes like 30 minutes.
Okay.
Between experienced players.
Okay.
So yeah, Watergate. If you enjoy Twilight Struggle and that kind of like push and pull kind of game, definitely check it out.
My number 3 game is Nova Luna, which is one of Uwe Rosenberg's games. I actually ended up getting taught this game at BGG Con by Rado.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Richard Ham. So, but you know, it's another one of his style games, of course.
Wait, what game?
Nova Luna.
Oh yeah, I've played that.
Yeah,
I forgot to mention it.
Yeah, Nova Luna is
a good game.
A very good game. You basically, I guess it runs off the Glenmore system. You're able to take tiles off of the board, and each tile costs a certain number of time units, and you advance forward 6 spaces, and then everyone behind you gets to take a turn until they pass you. And basically what you're trying to do is you are trying to make color connections and get rid of all of your scoring points. And each of the tile has 1 to 3 scoring spaces. This game is very good on the strategy of what you're doing in the game. So it is an abstract, but it's a very good abstract. I think it's more accessible to other people. It plays differently at different play counts, and I think it's very good at 2. I think it's probably going to be best at 3 for me, but 4 is what I played it as, and that was fine as well. It's just a good game. I think it's going to be more widely available in 2020 in America, but it was released last year. That's my number 3.
Excellent. Before we do the top 2, quick shout out to Plunderbun. We were supposed to do an honorable mention for it.
Plunderbun is on my honorable mentions.
Because we played it a long time ago, which is why we don't think of it as a 2019 game. But it's by a local Houston publisher. It's a really good, like, economic with a little bit of area control deck builder. So definitely check it out if you like deck builders or area control or any kind of economic system. I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, I think the thing with Plunderbun is like when it really gets going, it has a lot of interactivity between the different people, and I think that's what makes it really, really come alive. And the deck building element is easy enough to get into. I would say on the deck building, it's more of like a introductory game, but then the area control is definitely medium weight, and it goes through. It does not wear out as welcome, and I've enjoyed playing it.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Plunderbun, one word, by Hoochu Games.
Hoochu Games, yeah.
All right, my number 2 is going to be on a lot of top lists and probably some worse lists. It's kind of a divisive game because all Stonemaier games are divisive, and my number 2 is Wingspan. By far my favorite Stonemaier game. I mostly hate on Stonemaier games on this podcast.
Wait. It's the one he didn't design, right?
It is not a Stonemaier design. It is by Elizabeth Hargrave, and it is a wonderful tableau builder. I still can't believe you haven't played it yet, because I think you'd really like it.
Because every time I try to play it, it's full, or it's sold out.
Or you want to play On Mars instead, because we played it last weekend, and you played On Mars instead.
I was trying to get my hate down. All right, not my hate, but this.
But yeah, no. If you like tableau building, it's like it's like Terraforming Mars, but without the board component. You're drafting cards. Well, not really drafting. You're drafting from a tableau, so it's not like a Seven Wonders draft. There's like a tableau you draft the cards from, and then you're building a tableau, increasing your ability to generate resources and things like that. So it's an engine builder, tableau builder. I just love those mechanics, and this does it in a very streamlined way with tons of variety. There's like probably 500 cards in the deck now. So I love that it has like a common deck like Terraforming Mars does. Like, I don't like tiered decks because it's a pain to set up and break down and all of that. This just has one common deck, and you're pulling out cards, and every game's gonna be totally different because there's all these different cards in the deck. So I really like it. Check it out. Wingspan.
I just like it because people keep on wanting to eat the pieces. It makes them want to have candy.
Right. Don't bring this game around small children. You will end up with fewer small children.
Yeah, it's definitely a choking hazard. I gotta get my order of my top two games. They were both very close to me, but I will probably say that my
number two is
going to be Taverns of Tiefendal, and Wolfgang Warsch has had a great year. This game is, this is the only game I bought that literally has 4 expansions inside of it. And it was nice. It has like different modules, and each of the modules adds something more. I've still not played all the way because you have to basically have an experienced group to go to module 4 and module 5.
Oh, you haven't played with all the modules
yet? You can't teach someone how to play with. You can teach up to module 3, which adds in schnapps, but this game is very accessible. It is a deck builder, but stuff goes on top of your deck, so you have access to it immediately and a lot of control. Has a good upgrade mechanic. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, this game, unlike many of the games released in 2019, it will still get played years after. I don't know if it needs an expansion because it has so many built inside of it, but it's just a great game, man.
I didn't realize you liked it so much.
It's good in the in the 90-minute to 2-hour game. It's
I don't know. I mean, I've only played it once, so I like to play it with. I don't even know if any of the modules were in. So probably the game is more interesting with more modules. So I definitely like to play with more of the modules. To me, I don't know. I just like Quacks better because I like in Quacks like you get to choose your chip and it goes in your bag, and you might pull it, you might not. This is kind of similar. It is a pressure luck kind of game, but I don't know. I thought Quacks was more interesting, but again, I haven't played the modules, so I might like that one better.
Definitely goes. And then my number one game is Terraforming Mars Turmoil expansion.
That's a good pick. I love that expansion.
I mean, what can be said? This is the expansion that people who, if they just bought the base game, I would probably recommend they just buy this expansion first. Even though it's more complicated, it has the benefit of coming with the player boards.
I think that was Kickstarter only, though.
No, every single copy comes
every
with the player. Every turmoil comes with the player boards.
Something that should have been there from the get-go.
Yeah, so it builds on all the other expansions and it's good, but you can actually play it on your own. It actually is probably the best expansion to play on the base board, which is the other reason I explained to people. And it adds, just some. I mean, this is a game that, for better or worse, it's had what, 4 or 5 expansions. They've all been small expansions, but they've all been very good. Even Venus Next, which gets hated on quite a bit, is a very good expansion, and this is definitely on the other end of the spectrum. This is more along the lines of Prelude, where once you played with it once, you do not want to play without it, even though it makes it a harder game. So it's definitely the expert expansion, but still, it's great.
Yeah, I really like Terraforming Mars. I don't have Venus and Colonies, and I don't plan to mix them in because I don't feel like they add enough to the game to warrant their inclusion. I disagree with that on Turmoil, though. I think Turmoil adds a really interesting aspect to the game. It adds like these cool events that you have to adapt your strategy to. There's this whole other board that you can manipulate, and I don't know. It's just a really, really neat.
And the
expansion.
corporations it adds, really fit well with
Yeah.
the board in this situation.
So yeah, 100% definitely get Turmoil. Even if, like me, you feel like you don't really need the other Terraforming Mars expansions, I think Turmoil warrants its inclusion.
And player boards. I mean.
Oh yeah, and the player boards suck. Like, forget Turmoil. You should buy Terraforming Mars, the player board expansion, because the player boards are great, and then you don't have to spend like $50 on like some plastic boards someone 3D printed. All right, my number one is probably no one else's number one on the planet, but I really love this game. It's called Map Maker, the Gerrymandering Game. It's basically a game. It's a filler game. It only takes like 10 minutes to play. But it is an area control game, a vicious area control game. But it only plays in 10 minutes, so
why do you think
not too many
this
feelings
game
to get hurt?
Why do you think this game would appeal to someone who lives in Texas so much? Vicious gerrymandering.
Yeah. Well, one, I love the political theme. I'm like one of those weird exceptions. I love political games. But I also love area control. If you can't tell, a lot of the games on my list have some area control aspect to them. And this is just a very short, to the point area control game. And it's also a sandbox area control game. Like you can literally build the borders pretty much anywhere. There's only like a couple of very simple rules as to where you can't build the border. So on your turn, you have these 4 little mini sticks, and you use these sticks and you just put them on the board wherever you want, aside from those 2 small rules, and you're trying to carve out points for yourself.
You will feel like a real politician.
Yes.
Remember, the more you can hurt people, the better for your long term.
It has everything I love in games. It has a cool theme if you like politics. It has area control. It has sandbox. You can do whatever you want. You're not really constrained with the game, by the game too much. It has strategy, like pure strategy. The tactics only come into play when you play, because it plays up to 4 players. But in a 2-player game, there's like almost no tactics. It's all strategy because you can plan out exactly what you're going to do. You just have to react to that one opponent. But multiplayer game, a little more tactics because it's hard to predict where other people are going to carve out. But anyway, just tons of strategy, and all in a short package. They just really knocked it out of the park with this game. I wish it had gotten more acclaim, because I think not only is it a great game to use in a board game group as a area control filler, but I also think it's an amazing game to use for education. Every government teacher should have a copy of this game in their classroom and just play it during downtime.
And this game as well.
Yeah, everyone should also purchase this game, Imperial Spells and Steam, by Level 99 Games.
Designed by
Trey Chambers,
yes,
who I've heard, is a decent designer. He's got some games, Argent the Consortium, Harvest by TMG, so check those games out too. Anyway, we're happy to be back. Hopefully we'll get another episode out within 6 months, if we can get our other producer on board. But thanks for joining us again. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube and Twitter at EternallyBoard, no underscore, and board is in board games, of course. And our website is www.eternallyboard.com. Until next time, we're eternally bored,
so you don't have to be.
Bye.